Hi everybody, I'm here again with Garreth Bohanes, whose coaching business focuses on small business owners building better businesses. How are you, Garreth?
I'm great, thank you, Marlene.
Good to see you again.
Oh, it's great to be here, thank you.
Thank
It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
Yes,
And a lot has happened.
it has indeed.
What do you see as the potential impact of some of the suggested policies of the incoming US government on Australia and Australian small businesses?
Oh, wow, great question. So I guess first thing, a disclaimer for your viewers. I am not an economist, I am not an analyst. I am a small business coach. I am an avid follower of economics and I try to understand as best as I can for my clients. Right, so given all of that, this is my personal view, Marlene. Yep. With the suggested tariff, 60% China, 10 to 20% Europe, depending if that happens, and then depending how those two large economies react, my feeling is it's going to have a significant impact on the Australian economy, and not in a good way. Yeah. So earlier this year, the RBA and ABS they had a forecast that the Australian growth from GDP perspective would be 1.5 to 2% in this fiscal year. Yeah. Now, what we've seen is already 6 quarters of reducing growth. For example, in the September quarter, it was only 0.2% growth. The quarter before that was about 0.4. So, we may even struggle to get to 1.52%. Yeah. And last week there was an analyst who said that if the Chinese economy is hit hard, it will hit Australia hard. Yeah. And I might support that, if I may, by just reading this comment, which came from Ms. Bullock from the RBA when she was at a business conference last week. And she was talking about how much there's some uncertainties now developing around how countries might react. Okay. But in particular, what she's saying that in the very extreme circumstances of 60% tariffs on Chinese, etc., if it's not good for the Chinese economy, it isn't good for us either. Right. Now, again, to support that further, this analyst said that we could see a loss of 1.5% of our GDP just from a slowdown in the mining sector alone. So that's almost all of this year's growth, yeah? And considering that, the forecast for the next fiscal year was 2% to 2.4%, it means if that happens before any other flow-on effects, we're borderline, yeah? And, maybe, I don't know, maybe in the late part of it all, we might even be in GDP recession.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, with that, there's also talk now. We've already seen NAB have shifted their forecast for rate cuts from February to May. Shane Elliott, if I may just read again, has also just made an announcement as well, where he was suggesting that the incoming policies in the US would tend to be more inflationary than not, and that this could tend to suggest that our rate cuts will be less and later. And another that I read this morning, another economist is even now saying we may not get rate cuts at all until 2026, and they may even go up. Combining all of these things, particularly we're already been in a per capita recession. We're talking about cost of living increases. So if we start getting inflationary pressures from the US and from China, and then our rates either stay as they are for longer or even increase, that's going to start pulling down consumer spending, consumer confidence. That doesn't augur well for small businesses. Yeah. So my bleak assessment is that in the later part, because all of these things will take time, but hopefully in the not hopefully, but in the latter part of 2025, we could start finding our economy is under stress. Yeah,
Okay.
And then for small businesses, they'll need to take and start preparing for that and take corrective action.
Good advice. Thank you. Thanks.